Aloha champions! Today is Tuesday, April 14th, 2020. Today we are doing a math lesson, lesson 5.1, length and customary distances. Okay, we have two learning objectives for today's lesson. Objective 1, scholars will measure and estimate lengths in customary units. And objective 2, scholars will convert between different units of measurement of length. We are working here in the Math in Focus grade 4B book. I passed these books out at the last parent pickup, but if you need a math book, please let me know by this Friday, and I will be doing personal deliveries of the math book and perhaps some other materials that I have if you did not get the math book from the last parent pickup that we did. Okay, so for today's lesson, you have one page that you are required to do. In your math book, it is page 17 and 18, just 9 problems, but I want you to look through the book to help you out after you watch this video to see if it will help you better understand customary units of measure, including inches, feet, yards, and miles. Okay, without further ado, we will begin in our lesson. Vocabulary we need to know for this lesson is we have inches. In its singular form, it's an inch, so 1 inch. If I have 2, it's 2 inches, and I notate it with an IN. I've highlighted this as yellow, and I try to be consistent, so every time we're talking about inches, it will be in yellow for this lesson. Next up, we have a foot, or if I have multiple, it would be feet, and its notation would be FT. Again, highlighted in pink, and I try to stay consistent with that highlighting throughout this lesson so you know what unit of measure we're working with. In green, we have a yard. If it's multiple, it's yards, and it's notated as YD. Lastly, we have a mile in blue. If I have multiple, it would be miles, and I notate it as MI. Okay, so those are the vocabulary terms we'll be going through. I believe there's 3 parts to this lesson. Part 1, measuring length in feet and inches. So the length of an inch. We use inches to measure things that we can fit in our hand. 2 of my fingers together is about the length of 1 inch. Okay? If I have 12 inches, like this ruler, that would be 1 foot. So things that I carry with both hands, I'd measure in feet. Okay? Or anything that is smaller than myself, I can measure in feet. To convert my feet into inches, I multiply by 12. If I'm going the opposite and I'm converting inches into feet, I divide by 12. So when you're going from big to small, multiply, small to big, divide. Okay? So if we put this into practice, if I am converting 3 feet into inches, I would multiply by 12. 3 times 12 equals 36 inches. So 3 feet is equal to 36 inches. Again, another conversion problem where I'm converting 7 feet into inches, and I'm multiplying by 12. And if it's been a while since I've practiced multiplication, I can do a skip counting method, or I can add up on the side. 7 12s, there's 3 12s, that's 36, and I know that 4 12s is 48. If I add 36 plus 48, 6 plus 8 is 4, carry my 10 into my tens place. 10 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay, so just a shorthand in case I'm a little rusty on my multiplication, I still can do these problems. 7 feet, when I convert it into inches, is equal to 84 inches. Okay, next I need to compare using greater than, less than, or equal to. So the first comparison I have is 6 feet compared to 70 inches. So I can either do this by dividing my 70 inches by 12 or multiplying my 6 feet by 12. Big to small, multiply, small to big, divide. So 6 times 12, I'm going to plug that in there. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry my 10 into my tens place. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 10 gives me 72. So this is 72 inches compared to 70 inches. Well, the Pac-Man will go for the greater of the two. So 6 feet is greater than 70 inches. Okay, problem number 4, another comparison using greater than, less than, or equal to. I have 48 inches and 4 feet. Well, earlier I already established that 4 feet is equal to 48 inches. So 4 times 12 is 48 inches. So 48 inches is equal to 4 feet. Okay, so when you get to your end of practice problems, you will have to do some conversion and some comparisons from feet to inches. Okay. Part 2, getting a little longer in the distances we're covering. We're measuring length in yards. A yard is equal to 3 feet, or a yard is equal to 36 inches. So if I had 3 rulers back to back and line them all up, that would be 1 yard, or 36 inches. In converting, if I'm going from yards to feet, big to small, multiply by 3. If I'm going opposite, if I'm going small to big, I divide by 3. If I'm converting in inches, it's a factor of 36, multiplied to go from yards to inches, divide from inches to yards. We use yards to measure things that are bigger than us, anything like a car, a fire truck, or a field. Those familiar with football, a football field is measured out in 100 yards, or 300 feet. Okay, so for a practice here, the first part asks us to estimate the height or length in yards. So I remember, height is how tall an object is, length is how long an object is. So if I compare to this stick figure here, height, how tall, length, how long. So if I was to measure a refrigerator, I'd say a refrigerator is about the height of Mr. Chambers. Mr. Chambers is just under 6 feet, so he's almost 2 yards. So about 2 yards tall is your refrigerator. Okay. Number 2, how long is a baseball bat? Baseball bat you hold with both hands. It's not quite gonna fit here on the table. It's a little bit longer. It's about 3 feet, or about 1 yard. The length of a car, now everybody's car might be a little bit different, but it's definitely going to be about 3 to 4 yards. Some cars are a little shorter than others, some are a little bit longer, but if you were to measure it out, it would be about 10 to 12 feet, or about 3 yards, 3 to 4 yards, okay? Converting, if I'm converting yards to feet, I want to multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So if I'm converting 2 yards, that is equal to 6 feet. Now if I'm converting 3 yards into inches, my measurement here is times 36. Well, times 36 seems like a lot. I can also break this down into my factors of 3 and 12, converting it into feet and then into inches. If I convert into feet first, I have 3 yards. 3 times 3 is 9 feet. 9 feet. And then 9 times 12 is 108. Okay? If I'm comparing using greater than, less than, or equal to, if I'm comparing 9 feet and 3 yards, well, if I convert yards to feet, I multiply by 3. So 3 times 3 would equal 9. So 9 feet is equal to 3 yards. Okay? For my next comparison, I want to compare 5 yards with 150 inches. Now, to do this, I can either multiply by 36 or divide by 36. Or, just like I did over here in problem number 5, I remember I have my factor tree of 3 and 12 equals 36. So if I'm going to take 5 times 3, that's 15 feet. Now I can multiply 15 times 12 to give me how many inches that is. I know I'm a little cramped here on the page, but I'm going to talk you through my multiplication here. If I do 2 times 5, that's 10. If I do 2 times 1, that's 20. 20 plus 10 is 30. Plus 150 puts 5 yards at 180 inches. So if I compare the 180 inches that are my 5 yards to my 150 inches, I know that 5 yards is greater. So 5 yards is greater than 150 inches. Okay, on to our last part, our final unit of measure for this part of our lesson 5.1. We're going to be measuring length in miles. Length of a mile is equal to 1,760 yards, or a mile is equal to 5,280 feet. We use miles to measure long distances. It takes the average human about 20 minutes or so to walk a mile, or your car to about 2 minutes to drive a mile if you're following the speed limit. So miles are for measuring the distance of, say, your house to Paideia, your house to Chase Field where the Diamondbacks play. Any distance where you think it would be easier to get in a car to go that far, you'd measure in the length of a mile. Okay? So, this is our last practice page. If a helicopter flies at 5,257 feet above the ground, about how many miles does it fly? Well, I know that 1 mile is 5,280. This is just a little bit below, so I'd say that it's about 1 mile off the ground. Okay? Next, I need to convert 2 miles into yards. And I have put my conversion here. I know that 1,760 yards equals 1 mile. So if I multiply 2 times 1760, or if I add 1760 twice, because multiplication is just repeated addition, Start with my 1, 0 plus 0, 0. 60 plus 60, 120. 100 plus 700 is 800, plus 700 is 1500, which carries 1 into my thousands place. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. 3,520 yards is equal to 2 miles. Last practice problem that we're going to do, problem number 3, converting 3 miles into feet. My conversion here is 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. So this time, instead of repeated addition, I'm going to multiply 5,280 times 3. 3 times 0, 0. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. And 3 times 5 is 15. That means that 3 miles is equal to 15,840 feet. Okay? So, as you are working through today's activity in Math Workbook 4B, page 17 and 18, it's going to ask you to choose what unit of measure you would use to measure something, inch, feet, yards, or miles. To underline the best estimate for an object, the length of 2 footballs, is it about 2 inches, 2 feet, yards, or miles? Which one do you think is the best? Underline that. Circle which object you think is a yard long. Fill in the blanks with approximate lengths or by converting. And answer these 2 word problems. So it's 9 problems for you to work on. And later on this week, there will be possibly a Crazy Alice in which Mr. Chambers asks you to measure things in and around your house using a ruler or measuring tape. But that will conclude today's lesson 5.1. Our next math lesson will come in on Thursday. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.